Hul'q'umi'num. Good morning, everybody. I want to thank our Musqueam elder for that eloquent welcome. That was really, could have been the whole forum by itself. It was great. Thank you very, very much. And thank you to your people as well for allowing us to be here today. And through my Savior, I thank the Creator, of course. And I thank Sarah and her staff and MOA staff for allowing this to happen. I really appreciate all their hard work over the last couple of years that we've been involved with them. I see I don't have much time, so I'm going to try to cut to the chase and do a bit of an overture of the issues raised in my little box here, and then if time allows, touch on some of the other issues that are involved in a project like the one that we are currently involved in. That is like the creation of a library for our people. We have over 6,500 members, and a lot of members in Seattle, Vancouver, Victoria, and urban settings, like around the land. There are traditional areas, Coast Salish territories. My families, Baptiste and Susan George, come from Cooper Island. Cooper Island has legally had its name changed to Penelakut Island now. My Hul'q'umi'num name is Melton, and I think we're related to a lot of Mr. Grant's family as well, as a lot of our Coast Salish people are, through family, through genealogy, and through our traditional practices of the Hul'q'umi'num and the big house dances and different reasons to be involved with one another. Some of the I see that, for one thing, the project that we were able to be involved with, I say we, my wife over here, Candace, was part of the Indigitization project as well, that we're just currently wrapping up with our final report, and it went very well. We have hundreds of audio recordings, cassette recordings, over 20 years of recordings with all our members, relating to all the different parts of our culture, our cultural practices, our medicinal plants, the resources that have been extracted from our territories, our genealogies, meeting minutes, future plans, land use plans, language, like sacred places like cultural bathing sites, confidential information, all these things. We still have a long way to go to digitize everything, but we got a good start. With the support and help of the MOA staff, it made it very easy to proceed now and train other people. The people here are very helpful, very forthcoming in their assistance, which made it really easy for us to continue. They provided a great training booklet that we were able to duplicate and share with other members, and it just made it really easy to understand. We're moving ahead now on the 20th of this month with a separate project for the Penelakut tribe to work with a consultant company here in Vancouver to create a database, digitized database of all of the information relating to Penelakut from the Hul'q'umi'num Treaty Group collection. And the Hul'q'umi'num Treaty Group collection right now is gigantic. It's really an excellent, like Musqueam's collection, no doubt, but we have a GIS technician that is superb and produces maps like in a heartbeat on any topic you can imagine. And we have a, that's, like I say, I'm excited about that starting on the 20th. The access to that will be a lot simpler than our current database. We use DocuShare at this time. And DocuShare can be kind of costly and kind of hard for just the general people to get access to. The new database looks like it's going to be a lot simpler, and people can use it at different meetings and from different venues and what have you. So we're pretty excited about that. In our library, we had to decide early how to arrange all of our materials. And since we're a treaty organization, we chose to arrange all of our materials by the treaty chapters. And there's something like 30 chapters in a First Nations treaty with the BC treaty process. And self-governance has something like 20 subchapters in it. And so you can imagine, we had to have some kind of organization for our treaty negotiators, our chiefs, and different people who need access to the information to be able to find it in a hurry and when needed. Excuse me. So, like I say, there's some of the challenges that we of course face, like any other library or what have you, is like around confidential information. We got like bathing sites, but we can't tell you where they are. And then the forest company says, well, how do you protect them if you can't tell us where they are? And then you got members who are not part of the bathing tradition. Or you got people who are not part of the mask, or you have people who, when you study genealogy, you get access to Indian names. And one letter out of place, and you have a different name. And but people are insistent that, well, this is our treaty money paying for this information. We want it, and you're going, well, we have confidentiality agreements in place. So it's really important to have policy, strong policy in place, stand by your policy, and let someone else take the knocks or what have you. But it's hard because you have to be true. You have to protect what you're entrusted with, and it's critical that you do so. Photos, again, Candace is the queen of photos. She probably has more digitized photographs than Edward Curtis, or I don't know who else to compare to, but the lady has thousands of digitized photos, and she corrects photos. She can correct damaged photos and what have you, and erase noise, from audio things, and just really taught me and our staff quite a bit about that. And good person to talk to if you want to learn about different collections. She's worked with Dan Savard, and she's worked with University of British Columbia Indian Chiefs collection, and different great people who have awesome collections of old photographs and family photographs. And those also become kind of touchy when you get around to cultural burnings, you get around to big house gatherings, memorials, things like that. What becomes private property, what becomes, public domain. It's real touchy. You got to be really, really careful there, and do what's right and feel what's right. And if you favor one family over another, you're in trouble. It's one step forward, two steps back. And so, again, some of the tensions you feel in the treaty-funded work. You're only allowed to work on certain things with their funding. They have strict criteria. You're not allowed to work on what they call specific claims, but you are allowed to work on comprehensive claims. You're not allowed to work on rights and title, because they say that's not part of that process. And so what gets funded and what don't can be a real high wire act sometime. Although we feel it all relates to culture and lands and what have you, it's a headbutting contest there sometimes to keep moving ahead and decide where and how things can be funded, how work can be funded. In our organization, some of the problems we have is you get all this stuff together, but nobody's reading it. Nobody's accessing it. I'm sorry, I'm down to 5 minutes already. So we're going to have to really cut to the chase here. Should have came in last night, I guess. Anyway, shortness of staff. Who from your community, can do the work? Who can? How will they be funded? And on an ongoing basis. When Stephen Harper was still in power, right to the very end, he was ready to shut down all our tables, and consequently, he shut down the funding to our table, and consequently, I lost my job after 20 years. And so now I'm going to go work for Penelakut this month. But the collection now is in limbo because there's nobody else accessing it, nobody else reading it. And then you have the rotation of leadership and what have you. They don't go there. And so now they don't know who to call. They call me at home or what have you, and they try to get access to the gear, but they don't want to pay any kind of funding for my time and what have you. So it's hard, to find a way to work together and make sure the library continues to be available to our members and what have you. So storage is still an issue. Right now we have a big piece of our library in one of those storage units outside the city of Duncan, and it's looking a little scary right now. And my old office is looking a little scary. It's becoming a storage room, and people have access who probably shouldn't have access. And I guess one thing I wanted to touch on quickly too is that you don't have to make a copy of everything. You know, it's like I just left the First Nations Summit for 3 days, and they give you a booklet that's this thick with every meeting, then all these handouts, and then you add that up shelf after shelf after 20 years or so, and you've got a whole storage room of just stuff that you can go to their website and access. You can go to the University of British Columbia Indian Chief website and access their documents. They have the RG10 files all digitized now. You can go to the Assembly of First Nations website, and they have the First Nations governance booklet that's available. So you don't need to access everything, like fisheries, Aboriginal fisheries, or things like that, and have it taking up space in your library. You can go to these different places and access it when needed or what have you. But it's important to know where to go. It's important to know who's got what have you, when you do need it. Then there's all the local libraries and archival deposits that are equally important. And one thing I think is important to mention is like the city of Nanaimo, they were throwing away old books, and they called us up and got a hold of us. Mrs. Wilson did, and she gave us a book among the Hul'q'umi'nums, a $600 book or $700 book they were throwing out, and gave us other books like that they had no idea what it was they were throwing out. But that's just it. Sometimes you just have to go out. And I'd say lastly, don't loan anything out. That's the scariest thing in the world. The nicest people in the world are going to come to you and ask to borrow your books, ask to borrow your journals, and they're just so nice. It's like a relative borrowing money, I guess. But they come and they borrow books, and that's the last you see of them. They're gone, and you'll never find them again, especially at the price you probably found them at. Like Hillary Stewart's book on canoe building and stuff like that, and big house building. Those things are going for a couple $100 each now, if you can find them. But I've lost so many now. The Coming of the Spirit of Pestilence and just all these great books. And you have to go replace them, and with what? You got to have a bake sale or something, banning sale or what have you. But I think I'm out of time. I want to thank you all very much. If you have any questions, I'm around. Candace is around, and I wish you all the very best, and I appreciate the invitation. Hi, Kasim. I'm out of time.